Hi. So there's been a lot of news and superstitions, and people are trying to market the lunar eclipse that is going to occur tonight. So I would like to clarify a little bit of the science behind it, and there is nothing to fear, and there are no, you don't need to take bath, you don't need to stop eating food. This is all like people are trying to market who doesn't know the science behind the eclipse. So first of all, let me explain in simple terms what eclipse is. See, you have this sun, you have this earth, and the moon goes around the earth, right? So moon doesn't have its own light; it reflects the sunlight, right? So when the moon is, let us say, it's here. This part of the moon is lit. So from the earth, we see this part is half moon, and when the moon comes here towards the sun, so obviously the back side of the moon is lit and the front side is not visible, so we call it amavasya or new moon. When the moon comes this side, like we see this half, so that's half moon again. So when the moon comes here the opposite direction, the sunlight directly falls on it, becoming fully visible. One half is fully visible, we call that full moon, right, or Paurnami in Telugu, right? So but you can so the lunar eclipse is something, but sometimes moon goes behind the earth, right? Earth blocks the sunlight from falling on the moon, which leads to eclipses. This doesn't often, this doesn't happen every month. You may ask why. Because the moon's orbit around the earth is not like perfect in this plane line. It's a bit inclined like this. So moon either goes above the earth or below the earth. But occasionally, as the sun also moves through the space, earth also goes around the sun. So all this, if you take all these orbits into consideration, occasionally 3 to 4 times a year, sometimes 5 times a year also, the earth blocks the sunlight from falling on the moon, leads to eclipses. So simply, a moon is hiding behind earth, right? Leading to eclipse, lunar eclipse, right? Now you may ask, when the moon is hidden from the sunlight by the earth, why is the moon visible at all? So all we are talking about the blood moon, right? So the blood moon appears red. So how come when the earth blocks the sunlight from falling on the moon would be visible? This is where the science comes in. It's a wonderful phenomenon that fascinated even scientists and physicists. Earth has like atmosphere, a thick layer of atmosphere, which consists of, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, a lot of smoke, dust, and all of these things. So when the sunlight comes through the atmosphere of the earth, enters the atmosphere, what happens is, if you take the sunset or sunrise, during the sunrise and sunset, sun appears orangish. Like, you know why? Sun actually is not in orange, it's white. Then why does it appear orange? Because as the sunlight enters the atmosphere, the sun is like white light, and white light, it's a composition of 7 colors, like which you might have seen during the rainbows. The sunlight comes in, the white light comes in, and like with blue, yellow, red, different colors are there. They get separated by the atmosphere. Atmosphere acts like a lens, right? They get separated, all the lights, they get separated. And during the sunrise and sunset, the blue light gets scattered by oxygen and nitrogen molecules, right? And the sun, and only the red light gets into the atmosphere to our eyes, so sun appears orange. It's like, our atmosphere filters out the blue lights. It scatters the blue light, and then we see the sunlight as sunset and sun rises in orange in color. So blue lights get scattered out. Now if you see, earth has, during the lunar eclipse, sun is here, earth is here, moon is here, right? So the sunlight enters the atmosphere, it passes through the atmosphere, the blue light gets scattered out, and what is left now? Red light. And the red light, but how come when it is behind? So the atmosphere, see, one of the great properties of light is when it enters from space to the air, that means when it changes medium through which it is traveling. You may take the different mediums, like water is there, oil is there, air is there. These are different mediums. So when light enters from one medium to the other, it actually refracts. That means, because it's a denser atmosphere, the light bends as if someone is hitting it and, trying to change its direction. You can observe this. You can take a glass of water in a glass made of glass. Take a glass of water, put a straw inside it, and you try to observe the straw. What happens? obviously the straw appears in a different place than you kind of observe the disruption. Why is that? Because the as the light enters from air, I mean the water, to the air, it bends, it changes its direction. That's a property of light. Like in the same way, when the lunar eclipse, the light from the sun enters the Earth's atmosphere, which acts like a lens, which is a denser atmosphere, which bends the sunlight towards the moon. Right now, the blue light gets scattered, and only the red light passes through the atmosphere, now painting the moon in beautiful crimson and copper brown, copper red in color. That's a beautiful phenomena anyone can. So that's light bent by this Earth's atmosphere onto the moon. Such a wonderful celestial, event anyone can observe. Now, one more thing you can ask, right? So why people, I mean, like taking baths, or like people are are trying to scare you with all these kinds of superstitions, and something might happen. See, for this you need to understand where this where do, I mean, where do all this come from actually? The superstitions, where did, like, if you go back thousands of years, millions of years before even you need to understand how the life was before humans even evolved on the earth. See, if you go back millions of years, humans were hunter gatherers. They were killing wild animals for food, depending upon wild berries, seasonal based plants, and everything. That's how our lifestyle. We used to move from place to place, depending upon how our environment changed around us, always in search of food and water. Right? So we used to kill wild animals, and we used to follow wild migrations which occur seasonally. So naturally, when they were doing, and we used to hunt fish, like, and whenever at moon, so naturally what they observed is the cycles on the earth, like the wildlife migration, the seasonal plant-based foods, the seasons on the earth, the things in the sky, they appear different. For example, if you take the sun, it goes towards north of east and south of east. So it keeps traveling from north to south in the sky in different seasons. In the summers, it is towards the north of east, and in the winters, it is towards the south of east. So naturally, they observed different things in the sky related to seasonal cycles on the earth, right? So naturally, they thought, I mean, they used these as marks, like to track time and seasons. So they thought they're like some supernatural powers that are actually guiding us the life on the earth. So they became so special. They built temples in every culture, Egyptians, Mayans, and everything. The night sky is so special because it guided us for survival. Now, eventually, when the ice age ended, like Earth was covered in the ice, big animals went extinct. Then Earth entered the ice, I mean, ended the ice age. A lot of water rivers formed. People, in trying to survive, they invented the agriculture. They realized, to grow plant-based foods. So, and what is the most important thing in agriculture? Seasons. So just before the rainy season comes, you have to just plow, plant your seeds, and then eventually, then how do you track the seasons? Back then there were no watches or anything. So but that's what the knowledge they have. Like the moon goes through a cycle phases, and then the sun goes from here to here. So by looking at the sky, they related what's happening in the sky to what's happening on the earth. So for example, if you plant a stick, and the sun goes here and there in the sky, you can just, by following the shadow, you can actually tell the time in the day. And you can also, if you observe all through the year, you can turn that into a calendar. That's how our ancient people did, right? So for agricultural purposes, for trading purposes, for example, if I want to trade with you something, sell you something, if I want to meet you somewhere, now how would I tell the time? Like then I would say, at particular, when the shadow is at particular this point, then we should be able to meet at particular place. So that's how the calendars evolved, using the moon cycles, the cycles in the sun cycle as it goes from here to here, and by observing the stars. And if, let's say, if you are born on a particular day, how would you tell the date and time? Like back then, when the moon was in this in this phase, when the stars were in this position, when the sun was in position, that's your time. That's your the date of birth, right? That's how the entire thing came in. So there were particular, so in Vedas, the old texts of India, they described all of this they discussed all of this in a separate Vedanga Jyotishya. they dedicated a separate part, right? And they called it Vedanga Jyotisha. You know what is Vedanga Jyotisha literally means? The science of celestial lights, right? The science of celestial lights. So that means you're studying about the universe, you're studying about the objects in the sky, right? And they did some wonderful, for example, in Rig Veda in 10.88.3, they discussed this, like how many suns are there, how many waters are there, how many lives are there. I'm asking you poets only to find out. See, such a cosmic humility that they don't know anything, but they are willing to discuss and study the scientific phenomena. That's a beautiful philosophy and science written in Rig Veda. But then what happened? This entire thing of astrology was born. So back then, these astrologers used to predict all these kinds of, the events, help the civilization to track time and seasons for their agricultures. They used to predict eclipses whenever something, when the moon suddenly is blocked by the earth's light, or sun suddenly blocked by the moon as they go around. They considered this as some kind of, events that they couldn't understand, so they created some kind of rituals. Take this bath and take this insulin because the gods are angry, you need to do this. So back from then, it has been mismarketed by a lot of astrologers, right? A lot of astrologers just to make money, who doesn't even know, how the entire thing works. For example, when Apollo astronauts actually landed on the moon, they they installed a laser equipment there. Even in Chandrayaan 3, they install a laser equipment. From the Earth, you just shoot out a laser, and then as it comes, the the beam comes back. You calculate the time how it was. The moon is moving around the Earth. You know what did they discover? They discovered that moon is actually going away from us. So maybe after like thousands and thousands of years, you wouldn't see solar eclipse. You wouldn't see the sun completely covered by the eclipse. So this is the modern understanding of science. So like, the thing I'm trying to tell you is, science is some, it begins with the question to trying to understand the nature around us, right? Rather than just uh, being told by someone to do something. That's not science is. In fact, this is so stupid. Like, Christopher Columbus used it to his advantage. The blood moon, the lunar eclipse, he, the Spain, the people, they have this Christopher Columbus, as a voyager and explorer. So he used to venture out on different places out of the world, discover new places, so that these guys go with the military and exploit them of their resources, the gold. That's what the English people did, the colonization, right? So when Christopher Columbus went to one of the islands, what he told them some kind of things. Initially, they used to bring him food whenever they come, but eventually they discovered that these guys are exploiting us. The local people there, they denied providing resources and food to these people, Christopher Columbus and his team. Then he used this blood moon to his advantage, right? What did he say to them was like, on a particular day, because you're not giving us food, the gods are angry. The moon god will be angry, and he will turn red, and your civilization or your entire tribe will go extinct, and you will face a lot of troubles and everything. Initially, they were kind of afraid, but they didn't listen. But when he used exactly the time and date of the lunar eclipse, when they saw, they were really scared, and they started going back to the ships, and they started providing food. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be like the hunter gatherer apes people. Like in Telugu we call it Adima Manavalu. Don't be like Adima Manavalu, right? So trying to understand the features and things around going around you, right? So there is nothing to fear, and you will enjoy for 82 minutes of totality. Beautiful crimson red moon would be visible, just trying to just explore the universe, because universe has no limits. And I wish you all the best. This is an event that you don't want to miss. So just put all the superstitions and all the things that you don't understand. If you don't understand something, try to understand something, rather than just accepting something as true. That's the basic of science, right? So enjoy the blood moon as the universe paints its true colors to us. Thank you. Your Srikant Panjala, astronomer and science popularizer. As always, keep looking up.